these maps allow you to grab those players and take them entirely off of the map. So let's have a look and see whether it's still going to be that Mantis that catches the first ban, or is it going to be the Land Shark instead? And yeah, these teams, we don't need to see all of the time countdown. We know it's going to be the Mantis. Jeff, however, is going to be the instant save off of the back of that, but ChopperMag deviating. Instead of going for the Venom because of the Jeff save, they take out the Winter Soldier instead.
I like this ChopperMag now, understanding they're not going to fall for the bait. Instead, they want to be able to embrace it, protecting the Jeff themselves. And interestingly enough, going over to Celestial Husk is a map that Envy have yet to play on thus far within the group stages. Meanwhile, ChopperMag, they actually lost a game here on Celestial Husk.
I wonder if Envy goes the route of trying to ban out Hefix's hero pools, like he's forced to go over to the Star-Lord, but it looks actually like they're going for the Vanguards instead. Vicky, this is a very familiar strategy for you here in Atlanta. This is very much staple Envy, right? Pick one role and sweep it in bans?
Yep, you're going to target the Vanguards. If anything, this is honestly going to be difficult if you're Zen's, because now you don't have the Venom. But guess what? Zen's got the Groot, which he has no issue playing, so we see that next ban.
He's also got the Hulk, which is something that ChopperMag were relying on him playing in their qualifiers, and that's what he's going to be relying on now as Envy take out the Groot as well. So they did go for a target ban on one specific player from the side of ChopperMag, but it's not Pefik the Duelist, it's the Vanguard Zenstarry instead. But this does mean that now with the save on the Emma, that Hulk is going to be put under a lot more pressure positioning-wise, because when he sees the diamond form, he cannot be anywhere near.
Very safe here, and a really smart position from ChopperMag to also protect that Emma Frost, because you have to consider Hulk being brought into play. There's a reason why we're not seeing the Hulk, as we see the final ban onto the Hela, and that already means that you won't be able to have that team up with the Namor. So I already like the look for our pick and ban phase between both these teams, but Envy, all desperate measures here too, because they want to make sure that they cannot get enabled if you're looking at ChopperMag.
Something to talk about as well is that
Cal is in!
Yeah.
Cal is in!
Cal
Moxie
is in!
We have to talk about what you and I were discussing in the green room, everybody. A little sneak peek at the conversation is, where's Cal? ¿Dónde está Caliente? Because we know that Cal could do it in the current meta that Envy needs to rely on. Because when you talk about current really strong heroes, Psylocke.
Yes.
You're not going to put tap on Psylocke because you have Speedery right there. And then you're looking at the hero pool that Cal likes to rely on. You have Phoenix, which we've seen Tap pop off before. There's a reason why Tap was here initially on Envy. Hela and Adam. And I'm sorry, but I was not liking the look of the Adam from Tap. We saw it like once, briefly. We never saw it again. Cal, though, has that flexibility. He can rock the Adam, and he can still rock the Hela.
You can also run that Star-Lord as well, which frees up Speedily to go over onto the Psylocke. So Envy are going to be able to play this very aggressive dive composition with both the Rocket and the Jeff being absolutely untouchable by the side of ChopperMag's players. And we're going to get to see the mirror coming on through from both of these players. The difference is that ChopperMag are currently running Zenstarry on the Angela, not the Hulk instead. So still going to be able to aggressively play with the rest of the team.
Talk about knowing that flexibility here. Bobo's going to be on that Psylocke, but to match that, a Speedery Psylocke. It's a sight to behold with Cal being on that Star-Lord like you highlighted, Moxie. Skittles being on that Jeff. You talk about what a great map this is on Celestial Husk. When it comes to these Jeff plays, you have to take a look while Bobo's trying to get into position, also spying out Speedery.
Bobo is getting fully healed there for Skittles, but he's also getting fully marked on the side of Envy. So far, there hasn't been an opportunity for them to be able to dive. Instead, they're using it to put the pressure onto Cal instead to prevent Envy's aggressive plays and wait for an opportunity for Pefik to be able to lock down Monk. He's taken out of the calendar, which means that we don't have to BRB any further, and ChopperMag can now get aggressive because if one of their players falls, they've still got the resource up and available.
It's about the number advantage right now with Kaluj going down as well as Zenz with the shish kebab is going to be able to disrupt the piece, splitting away that attention. Cal goes down next, and it's just inevitable at this point for ChopperMag to have the point first.
This is a huge advantage to ChopperMag as well. The dive is going to be able to find these positions without Envy first having to clear them. That's going to mean more point percentage, more opportunity to build up these ultimates, as we're going to be seeing the HTF coming on through in a matter of moments from both of these players. But that's not really an ultimate to be able to push them forward. Speedily, though, with the Dance of the Butterflies is something that ChopperMag are going to have to be very wary of. They need to keep an eye on where the Psylocke is, because it's going to be that ultimate coming on through, and there's the Cosmic Gun Amplifier response, so that Chopper might go first.
As the Jeff comes out here too, all members out looking for Envy as he gets the Angela, but with Window finding Do Up at the same time, and Speedery going down without being able to utilize the dance of the butterflies. I was also looking at Skittles, because Skittles was trying to harass Envy close to their spawn room gates, wondering, where is Skittles here? They get the stall and the stagger onto Nero. You see the protection though, jumping in from Window as they all regroup up together. I like this repositioning as ChopperMag do have 3 answers, Zen Starry 2 able to group them up together, but it's the initiation from Envy and the Sia.
Here comes the Galactic Legend from Cal. It's going to be amped up by the Cosmic Gun Amplifier from Month, and this is Envy coming on for the eliminations that they needed. The sweep is that it's not just one person. The It's Jeff heals of 100 per second are not enough to stand up to the Galactic Legend with the help of Month's ultimate. And finally, Envy find themselves on the board, and crucially, they've got ultimates to be able to cycle this further into better point percentage for the next fight. Psionic Seduction to shut down ChopperMag's attempted Galactic Legend coming on through. Freedom Charge for Window to get aggressive and play against everything that Zansari can do with the Heaven's Retribution. And if Speedily wants to go first, he absolutely can hit the Dance of the Butterflies before ChopperMag are ready to hit the dance floor.
That's what I like to see. Cal getting the output to get enabled as a Galactic Legend comes out, and some protection from Window on the Freedom Charge. Pethic continuously tries to harass that Raccoon as Month is shimmy-shitting and dancing all around the walls to get out of the line of sight. As you see the Silent Seduction Zens, he trying to make a play with the Heaven's Retribution here. Speedery, though, now back on the point to also help cover the back of Window. Finds Zens as he tries to fly away. Hacks as the fly swatter that they needed, the choke slam, but the protection from Skittles not getting contested as Speedery has to divert his attention, and it's the 1-2 Scooby-Doo to find that one pick.
But they still haven't been able to find the cap on the side of ChopperMag. Out comes the Dance of the Butterflies from Bobo, followed up by the projection, so he can try and find this elimination onto Month. Because of that, we're going to see a Strange Portal coming on through from Zansari, trying to bolster ChopperMag's forces. They think that this fight is still going to be winnable. They do have the numbers advantage and the point cap off of the back of it, and Envy are going to have to go into another fight while still waiting for their Psylocke.
Skittles is a problem, so it's the fact that they still have control over the point right here in favor for ChopperMag. Cal does find Fidel in the process, and that's a big pick because there is no Sia, there is no reset potential as Skittles tries to get away, but it's going to have to be a reset for ChopperMag as Envy, they have the number advantage, but are still trying to flip this point. It is the stall from ChopperMag for any second.
They needed to lose the fight quickly, though, because that's going to be point percentage coming on through from Envy, and now you're going to have Cosmic Gun Amplifier to amplify the damage of the Galactic Legend. ChopperMag, they've got the Cosmic Gun Amplifier, they've got 50% of that combo, but they're lacking the crucial thing that gets you the picks of the Galactic Legend. And off of the back of that, Skittles' ultimate, it might have to be overlapped instead with Fidel's.
Just love the aerial battles, by the way. We're taking to the skies. It looks a little congested out here. If it's not the Angelas, we can both of these teams. It's going to be the Psylocke from the back. Speedery finds Fidel, and this is going to be a big first pick as he has completely taken out the Sia, diverted the attention as Envy gets to delete that overtime taken away in favor for Envy. But with Bobo finding Speedery, Month has that BRB to bring him right back. Galactic Legend on board as Cal initiates it. The It's Jeff from Skittles, trying to find it from the high ground here, but it's not going to find Cal because he's too busy finding Dewep. It's the BRB to bring Patrick right back, but that means Dewep cannot come in, and the number advantage for Envy for the inevitable as the Galactic Legend. He is not close enough to keep it contested, and that's also a wasted ultimate.
Domination. Those ultimates carry through into the next round, and Celestial Hand will close the palm around the Galactic Legend coming on through from Patrick. Yes, you don't have it now, but you would have had 50% charge to Karmic Revival if you decided to swap over to that Adam, and that could have been absolutely huge. I mean, Envy just looking like a different team entirely coming on through as we're going to see all of the swaps. ChopperMag going to be going over to that Loki composition. I'm sure Perfect is maybe going to go for this Jeff. It could just be for speed bubbles to get the rest of the team a bit of faster out of that spawn so that they can set up into a position to deal with the dive, but Skittles for sure is going to be sticking on this Loki as Speedily on the Psylocke has been absolutely lethal. The Doppelgangers, at least in the regeneration domain, are going to be able to prevent all of the damage coming on through from Dance of the Butterflies because he was just using it on one specific target, specifically the rocket, to break the Cosmic Gun Amplifier ASAP.
I was thinking here that Gator must have taken out the belt when he saw the progress of Envy within the last 2 days. He's had enough here. Envy with a different look, as you mentioned, Moxie, and with Month and Nero. Nice little Animal Crossing backline, having those ultimates online. They have the sustainability. Nero could make some plays off the left side of this point. As I like this high ground position, splitting the attention, while ChopperMag are playing at the disadvantage position, being on that low ground. But Bobo, with the answer to Window getting overly aggressive, he has the BRB. He comes right back around, and Bobo's able to find Nero next after he tried to initiate with the edge jet.
Yeah, Window is back though because of that BRB, and ChopperMag got down both Regen Domain and Soulbind. It's going to be the Sonic Seduction coming on for it. Push the team outside of that boxed-in space, taking on Envy and the Cosmic Yarn and Bloodfire, and getting to push them close enough to take Window down a second time. Now comes the dance of the butterflies, but here is where the Loki swap comes in clutch. The doppelgangers means that only the Adam falls, and he will be able to self-revive, and ChopperMag still have numbers on the point.
I remember, Mox, what you were saying. It would have been nice if you would have started with a 50% on that Karmic Revival, even though you were nearing that 70+%. Skittles had gotten down earlier from the harassment from Speedery and Cal onto that backline. Pethic back around, though, together behind that Invisible Woman shield from Fidel, who has the invisible boundary, so great sustainability. But Envy have not given up 1 foot off this point. Still contesting here while ChopperMag try to find the positioning.
Here comes the Galactic Legends! Dodge away! We get to see the iframe out of the Eye of Agamotto attempted from Zenstari. Perfect does have the Comic Revival, but for ChopperMag, you don't want to use it in this fight. You might just have to, though, as Envy are committing absolutely everything. They've still got the point. They're going to stall this for as long as possible and absolutely scupper ChopperMag's ultimate economy for the fight after. Dance of the Butterflies is forced in a reaction to Nero, who just had so many players inside the It's Jeff, and ChopperMag still haven't been able to find the flip.
It's the insurance policy from Bobo coming through to save the day. Take my teammates out of your mouth here, Jeff. The Eye of Agamotto, the push. He still fights more. Pethic, Skittles, and Duep get taken out. What a huge Eye of Agamotto. Envy, they have not given up this point, not even once, onto ChopperMag in the second round.
And ChopperMag, they really tried to win that fight. They went into the sunk cost fallacy mindset, and it means that their ultimates are torched. With that composition, they've got to swap off of the Adam, go over to the Hela and Namor instead. Full counter dive composition, but they don't have the space. Envy are going into an overtime fight in a matter of moments, and ChopperMag have a poke composition, which has no angle to poke from.
Yeah, right. Like you see Bobo up on this high ground. Is this the swap that you really want to go for in this final fight territory that you're risking yourself in with Kalush? Also about to have the sign of seduction, but keep your eyes on Nero right now. He has the It's Jeff. Pethic does find him out when they try to use a team up between the Namor and Hela, but they have that BRB. Sign of seduction, overtime ticking away, and Fidel's got the survivability with the invisible boundary, but the drop kick, the choke slam, you get the safety and you get the space, while Pethic is trying to take this 1v1 versus Cow in the back, who wants to build into this Galactic Legend, while CC, the It's Jeff, find the Emma.
No Dance of the Butterflies to slow Nero down this time. Envy with the Eye of Agamotto find the connection onto Skittles. The Loki 4% away from the God of Mischief gets taken down by the follow-up Maelstrom of Madness, and Envy are looking back in old form. Oh my goodness, what a difference a day has made.
Hello? Envy waking up? I mean, it was the Eye of Agamotto trades for me. It's like, no, you, I'll do it second, and I get way more impact. Following up Speedery, making some of those last-minute adjustments to Portal back into, and being able to capitalize off of that after he's the MVP. Of course, we saw that Psylocke play coming out from him, too, for the majority of that game. 10 final hits, 21-4, 15-3 for Nero the Jeff. I like the healing output here, too. Fidel trying their best. 5-5, but, of course, with Invisible Woman, there's only so much you could do. With a lot of these last-minute swaps, though, Moxie, looking at ChopperMag when, you know, it was pretty detrimental, aside from losing out on that ult charge because of that unfortunate Galactic Legend on that first round.
Yeah, I mean, if they'd had Comic Revival 50% in the first fight of second round, I feel like they definitely would have had a better chance of being able to make the Adam composition work. Where it really fell apart for them was actually the composition that they're playing. Like, it's so good as a stall and sustain comp when you're in control of the point, but Envy had been able to heist away the initial point cap in all of the ongoings around ChopperMag having to deal with Dance of the Butterflies and stack their players and get everybody pushed close enough together to get the soulbind. You can see that Envy always had the better amount of people on the actual point itself, so that when the ultimate started coming on through, Envy already had picked up point percentage, and ChopperMag really felt like they had to try and take it by any means necessary.
That Eye of Agamotto was so crazy because he has also gotten pushed like forward in that moment, and being able to find 4 at a time like that, and then the drawback to get it again, this time over the hands of Speedery, fantastic too. I'm also wondering maybe if ChopperMag do want to go over to Central Park. They found a lot of success. I believe they're 2-1 thus far in the group stages on Central Park, whereas Envy, I believe, are 1-1. But it's about having that consistency because this is a best of 3, even if it's our last day in group stages. But no matter what, Moxie, we have to say goodbye to a total of 4 teams, and it may not be Central Park, but we will be staying on New York going on to Midtown.
We are going to be going to a convoy rather than a convergence, and I think it's a smart play because Central Park is one of Envy's like comfort maps back in 4.0. It's one of the best flyer maps as well, and now that Cal's coming on through, we're getting to see both the Star-Lord and the Psylocke as a duelist lineup on the side of Envy, and you don't really want to have to ban both of those when you only get 4 ban burns to come on through in every single one of these matches, and the strategists and vanguards are necessary on convoy as a map type to prevent the triple spawn hold.
It comes to show you the importance of having a sub be ready to come into this team. I mean, if anything, every time I'm looking at Envy, I'm always hearing Cal, I want to play. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. And he's here. This is what he was waiting for, right? I mean, sometimes you have to make these adjustments. If something's not working, I mean, the definition of insanity is trying to expect a different result while doing the same thing over and over again. While we do move on to Midtown, the only thing I'm concerned about Moxie is that thus far within the group stages, ChopperMag, that's one of their maps that they've lost on. I believe they're 0-1. So it's a little bit of a risk maybe looking at what they need to do when it comes to dealing with Cal alone on that Star-Lord. You talk about that flexibility still taking to the skies as we take a look at our Group A standings and where it stands.
Yeah, it could well be that instead of going for an instant save on something like the Jeff, they actually go for an instant save on something that Ansari is going to be able to play, denying Envy's whole strategy of let's just ban every single Vanguard that this one player can do. But then I feel like that would be likely a pivot into let's try and ban out Perfect, though that strategy has now weakened given the fact that we saw them earlier in the day being able to flex him over to things like both Bucky but also the Daredevil, which is likely potentially going to be coming through here on the side of Midtown, as we actually got to see a really strong, smart strategy come through from Virtus Pro, where they went for a ban on Emma, fielded a Strange as a Vanguard, had him basically stay in the corner and play distraction on the convoy itself, while the rest of the team all went for high mobility flankers, which is something that they may well decide to go for if you're ChopperMag, because that fits their playstyle perfectly.
And it would work really well on Midtown, actually. It's a lot of that split attention, and we talk a lot about after you get the payload moving and you're kind of trying to deal with getting through that second checkpoint, sometimes you need that flexibility to try to split fire where you want to position yourself, up on the high ground and low ground, because there's a lot of that disparity that second point provides here. Now, also thinking forward, if you are a reject, right, you were able to beat Envy, but you just lost out to ChopperMag. ChopperMag wondering, okay,
yes,
they were able to beat them before. We were able to beat Envy, or rather Reject. What can we do now looking at Midtown? Our last time opportunity to take this series, if we want to move it onto a Game 3 series rather, with Envy just trying to make sure that they could solidify this without any sort of trouble, dropping a game in case it leads to a tiebreaker.
I mean, I just want to see a save on the Emma, to be entirely honest, coming through on the ban draft, and let's see whether or not I'm going to be able to get my wishes. I'm sure this is going to be, boom, there it is! Both of the teams accepting that the Emma is more important on convoy maps, leaving the Mantis up for both of these teams.
I love casting alongside Moxie. We get to tell the future out here, Mox, as we see what that next protect is gonna be. It is the Bucky, who has made a performance thus far within the last few days. It's no surprise there, the recent potential, of course, too. And then when we talked about that low to high ground in that first point, well, guess what? You get to mix up where you want to rotate from. If you want to go up on the high ground, try to split up more of that attention when it comes to harassing that backline, but also breaking through some of these chokes if you want to get an extension, as the Loki's the next ban, just in case they want want to go for the double res composition.
Yeah, not just that, but also if the Mantis is going to be able to make it through, you have to deny the Deific team up coming on through with the damage boost for those regeneration domains. ChopperMag are actually going to go for a save onto the Jeff, trying to force Envy into having to ban out either the Venom for a dive composition or look to start trying to destabilize some of those triple strategists, or potentially even a Rocket 2-2-2 composition coming on through. There's the Adam ban, as Loki was still in play on the side of ChopperMag, and I feel like the Adam ban is actually better than the Loki, especially because, like, if you're Envy, right, and you field a Winter Soldier, you want a Loki to be in place so that the doppelgangers are up for your resets. Or if you want to go for a Moon Knight to be able to break out of the spawn doors a little bit faster, the doppelganger's up for the Onk bouncers. So it's better to take out the Adam, which could have been used without the Loki to stall the hold even longer.
And they pondered a little bit too, right? Because they could go for that Venom ban, but instead of going for it back-to-back after seeing the save off the Jeff, they said, no, we're going to instead ban out on the Adam. And it was also the focus on the Groot as well. Even with no Emma in play, no Groot either, which is still eyes onto Zenstari, who likes to rock the Groot, especially on this map.
Not just that, but Groot is the setup for so many wombo combos. It's the setup for things like Final Judgment. It's the setup for things like the Kraken Impact. Everything that the Groot does alongside things like the Moon Knight's Hand of Khonshu, you deny entirely while also weakening Zenstari's hero pool, forcing him now onto a Vanguard that he maybe isn't as confident on, as ChopperMag are going to be saving the Psylocke. So they have both still got the Psylocke and the Star-Lord. They also still have the Winter Soldier, but what Envy has is one-sided Mantis. Now, I was going to say, Bucky is one of those heroes who, if the Mantis is one-sided on the other team, it isn't really as impactful in terms of ultimate generation because the amount of damage that he does, but also the AoE range that he has. You're going to be able to keep up with a Winter Soldier very, very easily. However, if the Bucky is the one that's getting damage boosted, oh boy, are we about to see and hear a whole lot of agains sounding off again and again and again and again, because not only is the ultimate going to generate faster, so too is the pick time going to lower, setting up for those reset opportunities faster.
Damage boost and speed boost there too with that Mantisaur Resurgence.
And storm damage boost as well. And by the way, those things, they overlap. I went into the practice range and we ran through a whole bunch of tests to see if there was an actual cap to the heroes that could stack damage boost. Nope. You can just keep stacking. So Cal is going to be feeling very happy with his team as they're going to be giving him every single resource known to man within the game right now.
Lots of damage coming out here as you already see Speedery, the lover of flyers, going over to that storm to break the chokehold that we're seeing ChopperMag start off on the defense. We did see, of course, the symbiotic shenanigans skate by, but yeah, it looks like Window going, and Cal,
They read the Ultron. They put him onto Hela for the hit scan.
Really good adaptation already off the gates, too. I like that quick swap up in their scene. ChopperMag actually, we're giving them some space by this choke, too. Look how back ChopperMag's actually holding, while you currently see Skittles, once again, trying to play around by that side spawn gate before drifting back. But they have to be careful. You think you're safe up on the high ground. You think you're safe on this bridge, even though you got the Ultron right alongside you. The same thing with the Rocket. Be careful with a damage-boosted Cal.
Not just that, but you can't really rush on top of the Hela, because Window's onto the thing. So if ChopperMag try and commit deep onto the backline, they're just going to be struck by the Yancey Street Charge and stuck quite literally at street level, as we see so much anti-aerial priorities coming on through from the side of Envy. The ultimate from the rest of the team might be slow, but Hurricane is still going to be able to build up super fast, and Speedily's already forced Rage of Ultron to stop any momentum taken from the defensive ult.
2-up just dash so fast right alongside that Omega Hurricane. The invisible boundary. Zenz, he couldn't do anything. He literally got pushed in by the Invisible Woman Month. Also going to be able to hang out by the back end because Skittles up on the high ground. He tries to get it. He gets him at the very end, but the safety of the Goddess of Death to protect his fellow duelist as Cal does not stop.
Oh my goodness, Window uses the jump up tech against the Flyers to try and knock the the Ultron down, and ChopperMag, no, okay, this is up. The strategy is done. You can't run flyers into the composition that Envy has adapted, and that is the danger of running a defensive composition into an offensive composition, because the attackers get to scout it and swap to the counter components. That's why the draft system is so important. Perfect is hanging around on the wall. Now he's on the floor, on the objective, stalling it out for the rest of his team to be able to come on through, but Envy are going to be able to shut it down almost immediately with the meteor and finding the direct connection onto Zensari. It's just up to do up on the Captain America with the Freedom Judge to give ChopperMag any opportunity to stall long enough for the Strange Portal to come on through.
Clip the one last swing that the Angel had left going for her here as the Omega Hurricane following up to get Bobo. It is Envy clearing ChopperMag as they desperately try to put in the portal to recontest. Well, guess what? Nothing that comes from it as they get the first checkpoint, looking at Envy and Speedery looking to make the swap now that we go over to the second checkpoint, which is smart considering that there is that ceiling.
Here comes Perfect, though, going over to the Daredevil, looking for the dive opportunities alongside Bobo on the solo. And down to the Butterflies should slow down Envy's push here. They don't have a Strategist ultimate to be able to prevent it. And if they stack, it might not be enough to prevent all of the follow-up damage, especially if Fidel contributes that Cosmic Ion Amplifier. But for ChopperMag, they need to win that fight, and Window might just take it first. Clobbering Time's going to be able to connect onto everybody.
Look where Pethic's positioning is. Well, Cal gets Skittles because being on that Daredevil, he can see where Speedery is and Month, but you don't really have to call out where Speedery is if he's going to harass our back line. It's clobbering time from Window as Fidel lingers back, has to see it. Now you see it, now you don't. Just immediately right afterwards, by the way. Nero and Cal, though. Cal has not been stopped once. This is the brutal retaliation of the damage output from a damage-boosted Hela.
Oh my goodness, Soul Drainer into Sedation follow-up from Nero to be able to find the damage onto Zensari before the Venom can make it out. And ChopperMag, Zensari, the Venom is one of the heroes that you're relying on, just going onto the objective and stalling out long enough for a regroup to come through from the defenders. And the longer you wait, the more aggressive the rest of your squishier players have to go in. And that means that, Goddess of Death is in a little bit of an awkward angle there, as Cal is going to be playing a little bit above the sky, which means he's at least outside of Skittles' ultimate.
Yeah, y'all didn't see that, but unfortunately they kind of pay for it here too because he can't clear out that space with the damage output that could come from the risk of being in the line of sight of that Goddess of Death.
This should be the swap. This should be a swap over to something like the Bucky I would expect to see coming up for her from Cal, but no, he's actually going to commit to this. I mean, this angle here for the Hela is actually really, really strong, and because they know he's still on the Hela, they can't actually commit in until Envy round a corner, which means the Window gets to clear out the Daredevil first.
He was trying to be sneaky too by the wall, and he said no. And then he gets right back by the BRB. Nero keeps him alive. The anti-heal coming out from the Feast of the Abyss from Zensari, but unfortunately no follow-up from ChopperMag. Pethic let the devil out. Everybody within the domain as Zens gets the tether, finds a double strategist, and Envy are dropping like flies, while ChopperMag, they take control of another team fight.
There's the Winter Soldier. Winter is very much in season here at Atlanta. They've got a clobbering time to open up the space as well. Nero's also going to be swapping over to the Cloak and Dagger to be able to use things like the Terror Cape, the vulnerability applied to these dive components coming on through from ChopperMag's end, making it a little bit harder for Zensari and Duep to hold their positions and on these Vanguards and set up the spaces for both the Solok and the Daredevil to commit. There's Zensari with the commitment into the Yatsutsu charge, into the vulnerability, but ChopperMag, it was a bait! They made it look like the Venom was vulnerable, and it was Envy who got turned on instead. Dance of the Butterfly sounds off, and Envy find themselves rubbing the sleep out of their eyes and waking up in respawn.
Maybe get some coffee real quick. Maybe this is the wake-up call they needed. Moxie Duep with that freedom charge to be the MVP to help out Zens in the process, while Bobo, he had his way with the backline of Envy and the rest of this team. Now, as back to the drawing board, you're reaching nearly 80% on that Winter Soldier possible reset here, while he dives in. The Captain America from Duep wants to waste more time away from Envy with less than 20 seconds on the clock.
Great hook coming on through from Cal, but he's just too squishy. Windows all the way in the backline, disrupting both of the strategists. The undiveable composition is not unspearable, as Window is going to be able to put enough pressure to force the pure pivot coming on through from ChopperMag's team. However, without the Angela there to absorb all of that pressure, ChopperMag just go aggressively at the rest of the team, and that is an overtime push. Cal's got to use the Kraken Impact, but even he knows he's not going to be able to hit the overtime in time, and that is going to be where the payload finishes.
That's a tough one, Moxie, considering that they tried to make the swap over to the Doctor Strange a little too late, couldn't even portal into recontest. And as you mentioned, Window going pretty far. We all see the vision, right? You want to harass and split up the attention from the rocket play.
OUG, right? Yep. You just go for the strategist, you go for the backline, you burn the rocket, you get the BRB, you don't have to worry about Cosmic Ion Amplifier, and it's just a Jeff trying to sustain an entire composition, which is going to give them a little bit of caution and not likely going to commit. They would probably try and pull back, and it would allow Envy an actual stable position on the objective where the Winter Soldier would shine. That's not what happens, though.
Yep, when Cal is not getting enabled here, that's the game plan. That's the reason why Cal is in the roster right now. That's why they have their sub in here in the main lineup, and they can't enable him when they were originally on the attack. Now we're swapping sides here with Cal going onto the Invisible Man. And when we talk about Cal's hero pool too in general, aside from the Phoenix, aside from the Star-Lord that we've seen before, the Bucky, the Hela, the Atom, the Invisible Woman is what they're opting to go for here for this 3-3 composition.
I mean, she's not going to be invisible, though, is she? She's going to be invisible to all but one. If Perfect decides to go onto this Daredevil, and he will be able to communicate to the rest of his team where exactly she is going to be playing from, even if the double jump comes on through. So Envy very much fortifying their position. They're going to be playing from the side room. This is likely going to mean that ChopperMag, if they scout this, they could just well go back to spawn and go for something like a Moon Knight play, or they're going to commit to the dive and come at it from two different angles. Box Envy in while putting pressure on the objective at the same time.
As Duop is trying to do exactly that, but you have to be wary of those Groot walls, something that ChopperMag cannot utilize for themselves as it was banned against them. But Window being able to try to block them out, try to cover their backs and isolate the Captain America if they can, will allow them to have the advantage in terms of number. Pettig falling incredibly low. He manages to survive as Window, a man of many words, I am Groot, before he pushes up with the rest of his team through the choke here, looking right behind them. They have to make sure that their backline is still safe, but it is a mess as a Beast of the Abyss finds a 6-man here, finds everybody, but they are saved. No anti-heal follow-up as Nero has the see ya.
Yeah, I mean, Envy, this is perfect positioning for both the Rocket, the Invis, and the Cloak and Dagger to play. You're all stacked up. You're all getting all of those heals off of the AoE, the Pierce from the Invis, the AoE from the Dagger, and the bounce coming on through from those Rocket Orbs. And there is the counter. ChopperMag pull out the Moon Knight, but it's a little bit too late. Envy have already repositioned around it so that they're not going to be as stacked. Dance of the Butterflies try to punish. They split so that the Moon Knight didn't find the pickup. They spread now, and it's going to be a huge jab as Skittles manages to take 3 into spawn, managing to find the auto-elimination because an enemy can't be alive in your spawn.
And you can only bring one back off that BRB, and unfortunately for Cal, after he comes back, well, he's just as quickly gone with the reset of the rest of his team. As, oh my goodness, what an itch Jeff from Skittles.
They're gonna portal directly into Hand of Conchu. I mean, you know what? Envy do a good job of reading it. Speedily uses the Meteorem. It doesn't absorb the ultimate, but it does allow the Magneto to float above the hitbox of it. So he is still nice and safe to be able to absorb and act as the Vanguard on the objective itself. Out comes the Feast of the Abyss. The follow-up with that anti-heal immediately picks month before the Cloak and Dagger can get any form of sustainability. And ChopperMag are still managing to drain Envy's resources and players.
And it's really important, too, when you want to build into that internal bond to space out the strategist ultimates, as now the rest of ChopperMag, they're clearing out the point. Envy try to stall for as long as possible after using that portal to recontest in the Hand of Conchu, as you saw from ChopperMag's hands. And now they're going to be able to hold all the way forward and build into another Hand of Conchu before that next checkpoint.
Envy are going to be changing up the composition speedily. Goes over to the Daredevil, Cal the Mantis for the damage boost. This is going to start shoring up their ultimate economy, too. The Mantis is going to be able to let them catch up to ChopperMag's ultimate economy in no time at all, which means that ChopperMag have to go fast, have to go aggressive, and there it is! Feast of the Abyss not present, but it's all just a huge distraction. Bobo comes out with the Dance of the Butterflies. Everyone was looking at the Venom.
We literally saw 3 members of ChopperMag jump the backline of Envy. It was Duop, it was Bobo, and it was Zenz. But the follow-up and getting that BRB from Nero, the Rocket having so much done for Envy to bring Cal right back around. Glad that's will resurgence shortly too, that way he could bring everybody from Envy back together after Window is able to find Fidel. Big first pick when he was building into his own Sia. Has Skittles, can he make another It's Jeff play as he tries to isolate Cal here, just try to tilt him as he gets around the other side of that wall.
Oh my goodness, the line of sight prevents Cal from getting eaten, which means Soul Resurgence pairs with Let the Devil Out, and ChopperMag are going to be stuck inside spawn for a little bit longer. Envy slow the fight down entirely, and now just have to worry about the combination of Feast of the Abyss and Dance of the Butterflies as we barrel towards an overtime fight when they've got everything to be able to shut it down.
Envy looking to end it right here. They may not have even needed that second checkpoint here as Heaven descends on top of the bridge though. As you currently see, Window taking a lot of that damage. Sia to meet him on the other side. He gets punished at the hands of Bobo Banero with the BRB, brings him right back. Eternal Bond as we elongate this fight. Overtime. And Meteor M though, needs to find his mark before dropping down on top of the cart.
Dance of the Butterflies comes on through alongside Feast of the Abyss. Cal gets taken down. Envy still have players up, but they don't have ultimates to be able to actually have the damage to find the eliminations. Bobo gets the second. Monfizz down. It's just Rocket healing, and that alone is not going to be enough. And it's all up to a huge clutch coming on through from ChopperMag in the overtime. We head into second.
Cal swapped over to the Doctor Strange. I was expecting that Doctor Strange for to recontest, but when Window going down and having majority of that health pool, there was not enough time to make it worthwhile. You want to hold on to that portal with that 3-minute cooldown, just in case, depending on the fact that their cart positioning is right there in that next choke.
Envy go right back in to the full counter dive composition just to get out of spawn a little bit faster.
Ooh.
Before Window, Window goes in. For the Captain America, huge portal comes on through from Kalush, flipping the map location entirely, avoiding ChopperMag's aggressive dive setup, and now ChopperMag are forced to use ultimates to react. It's Jeff Bird immediately with the amplified damage coming on through from the Cosmic Gun Amplifier, and Envy holds strong, regaining control of Choke.
I was expecting Skittles to be the MVP savior for ChopperMag to get them out of the line of sight of Speedery, but guess what? He fell victim himself as Kaluj gets the follow-up. Cal goes down, no BRB to bring him in together, but Speedery is cleaning up what is left of ChopperMag off of an amazing back play with that portal to recontest, but they're dropping like flies now, Moxie. Eye of Agamotto online for this next fight as Window also has a stop potential with the Freedom Charge.
But there was so much time burnt off, and also because Envy went directly onto objective, it wasn't free push of Herbie caught coming on through from the side of ChopperMag. There's a guaranteed at least 2 more fights, which is why ChopperMag are having to be more aggressive this time. They know the Strange Portal isn't going to be in play, and we can't avoid the fight this time around. They have to go in to both the Psylocke and the Venom setup.
Getting into position with Bobo and the Dance of Butterflies. Window is there to protect the team by the choke. The double Window, as you can see up ahead, as he brings his entire team together. Month looking at that Eternal Bond. And Cal is going to be able to clear the space with the Galactic Legend. He sees the Sia, and the Feast of the Abyss gets shut down as Zeds does not have a follow, but it's Pet Thing to follow in the back while Cal is trying to harass him on the other side. Envy, they're no more. No Eye of Agamotto to get that follow-up,
no
and
portal.
they're right there.
There's no portal. Envy have to put someone into a position with a Vanguard getting the close hold. But no, the E comes on through from Jeff. Skittles carries them out of their spawn, and off of the back of that, no one from Envy is close enough. ChopperMag take Midtown, and we go to a third map.
Backs against the walls now, Moxie.
Yeah.
Game number 3. I cannot, the way that they try to play, and that is the risk when you use a Doctor Strange portal.
That early?
Yeah, early. Yeah, that's why I was expecting, okay, well, they were expecting the same thing. That's why ChopperMag
was
held
so
forward.
Far up. They knew they were expecting Envy to walk forward and pass them. However, like Perfect being on the Daredevil too meant that they could immediately adjust because they got all of the idea of like, hold on a minute, there's no player within my passive. Why can't I see anybody? Wait a
Where
minute,
is
guys.
everyone?
I think they might be behind us, and the pivot was there, and it meant that when those ultimates were exchanged in choke, it wasn't just ChopperMag who were losing ultimates, it was Envy too. Like, they invested everything to try and regain momentum and hold of second so that ChopperMag with a dive composition would always be marked, would always be forced into burning ultimates, losing a player in the engagement rather than the actual dive trade coming on through where Envy would lose a player, maybe have to back, give more objective space, lose a player, have to back even further, and run out of space to give.
Patrick and Cal having a conversation about Daredevil here and Brawl-like characters. Cal's like, you know, I mean, I'm like Wolverine, but different look here when it comes to the Daredevil, but that's what happens. You got to expand your hero pool sometimes. Talk about Patrick and having that information. Where is everybody? Well, we can't figure out where they're at. That is also the risk and reward when it comes to plays like that, Moxie.
Yes.
We've seen some teams take risky plays. Sometimes it works out. They did get the point flip immediately because there was nobody left from ChopperMag. And as you mentioned, it kind of did force out a 2-fight situation. But then you have to imagine, do we have the sustainability to keep these fights going, to make another ultimate rotation, to then allow a second fight for a last case scenario to work?
Yeah, and I mean, Envy, they really relied on the fact that they had Galactic Legend. They sort of knew that ChopperMag, when Fidel used the Cosmic Gun Amplifier, that would be the green light for Zinstari to come on through with the Feast of the Abyss for the 40% damage amp to give it the pick potential when it didn't have another ultimate alongside it, especially with the anti-heal that it now applies. But everyone from ChopperMag also could ult track that the Galactic Legend was going to be coming on through in response to that response. And we sort of got the game of chess and checkers and then battleships coming on through, essentially. And Envy found themselves sunk on that defense as we head into a very crucial third map. Remember, for Envy, staying alive in this tournament, it all hinges on actually winning here. If they lose to ChopperMag in this match, it does not matter how their match goes against Virtus.pro.
Talk about staying afloat. You got to start plugging in those holes in your sinking boat right now, because if you're Envy, this was just something that nobody was really expecting, right? I will be honest, at the end of Stage 2 Americas, they looked like they were staggering a bit. They looked like they were struggling, but this was on a different patch, right? This is 4.0, where, you know, other teams started figuring things out, even if they started very strong. We're now in 4.5. On paper, you're looking at the hero pool that this team rocks, and you're here thinking, all right, Silex Speedery's in, okay, well, if Tap's not working out, you were going to try to force out a double res composition. Okay, well, guess what? You could bring Cal in. Oh, wait, the Adam Warlock is banned, the Loki's banned. You can't combo that together with, like, the Mantis and, you know, the lamps on top of it all. If you have the Mantis, you're trying to damage boost Cal, but then Cal can't get enabled because ChopperMag are doing such a good job and also timing when these ultimates are coming online for Envy and countering it here, Moxie.
Oh, we were absolutely treated. I mean, the adaptation on Midtime, first alone as well, coming on through when it came to just fortifying their position inside that small room so they could come on through with the Cloak and Dagger and the Invis and the Rocket all having the power. Envy are showing the innovation. This is the old Envy that we're used to seeing, but we'll have to see whether or not they're going to be innovating when it comes to that third map, which we'll be back with after this short break.
Which ones have what it takes to become the best of the best?
The fight is gonna happen right here, right now.
We are at DreamHack Atlanta at the Marvel Rivals Global Finals.
What's ChopperMag?
你最好别输。
Welcome back, everyone. We are in a Game 3 situation in a crucial best of 3 between Envy versus ChopperMag, and Mox will be going on to our final map, and I'll let you take it away here because it's going to be interesting to see how ChopperMag has thought so far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a team and you lose domination in a best of 3 series, you have to treat it like you're going to win that second map. So when you want to play into third map, you've got to have a strategy up your sleeve. And oh boy, do we have a trump card coming on through from ChopperMag. They knocked out Convoy. Whenever Envy lose a map, especially whenever they lose domination, do you know what their immediate turn is? Convoy Yggdrasil Path, which means that Envy have no choice but to take us now to a convergence map. They don't get their comfort pick, they don't get their comfort map, and they don't get to utilize that free composition to hold the attacking teams at spawn and absolutely dismantle their overall time bank.
And we're going on to Central Park at that here too, and you have to imagine, especially in that first choke, sure, you have to look at the high to low ground disposition too, but ChopperMag at the moment, from what we've seen thus far, I believe within group stages, I believe they're 2-1. Yeah. So they've had a good amount of pressure, but also being able to find that success here while we take a look at our final draft within this series, Mox. It's been interesting because it's also been hand in hand with Envy looking at the Vanguard lineup as the first ban comes out onto the Mantis and no Emma.
Yeah, it's going to be Emma coming on through from ChopperMag against Envy, Mantis from Envy's end against ChopperMag, but they don't go for the Mantis save, they go for the Jeff save instead. And I mean, this is one of Jeff's best convergence maps. Drop-off point on first, drop-off point on second, and stair drop-off point on third, which is incredibly easy for the Jeff to be able to get to, even if there's a counter ultimate on the other side. ChopperMag, though, get to take advantage of this. They do get another ban before Envy can get some of these more saves, which means that the Mantis has been removed. So we can see that Envy are putting a lot of power into what Jeff can do for them, this team.
And this is also, with the Emma save, is forcing Envy. Do they decide over here, do they want to ban a Jeff themselves? Do they want to ban a Venom? Do they want to ban a Groot instead? So that way they won't have the Groot together. With the Emma is a question.
Do they want to ban Psy? Because if M is in play, then Psylocke gets her double, which means that Dance of the Butterflies is going to be charging and playing off at double speed, as they're still going to be going. We can see from Envy's side, they saw that it worked on Domination. They're really looking at just dismantling all of the Vanguard lineups coming on through from Zendari. Venom removed, Groot removed. Now, do they go for another Vanguard to yet again weaken his compositions?
Yeah, because in that last map, they banned the Mantis, they banned the Groot again, they banned the Atom that time around, and then they banned the Emma, which this time around they can't do, obviously, because ChopperMag ended up being able to save it with another Protect onto the Captain America, but Envy still stick to that ban on the Atom Warlock to prevent a double res coming out, since, of course, that is not only their last ban, they would rather just not deal with it at all.
Something to note as well is that Envy don't have any more bans coming on through, so we do know that Pethic will be able to get access to the Winter Soldier on a map where we got to see him earlier today almost topple the most amount of final elimination records that we've seen coming on through from all of our duelists on this part of the stage, as we're actually going to get to see a low-key ban come through late from the side of ChopperMag as they see the Atom save, and they cannot afford to let Envy gain access to the stall cycle that is God of Mischief, Comic Revival, actual Comic Revival.
And something that Envy can't rely on, that you were mentioning about ChopperMag, when you save that Emma Frost, you could try to get that team up, and guess what? That's something Envy cannot rely on, something that Kalush usually likes to use, and now forced to be on that Magneto as our final map within our series between ChopperMag versus Envy is underway, everyone. Welcome to the Marvel Rivals Ignite 2025 Grand Finals. It is the last day for group stages here, and we will be saying goodbye to a total of 4 teams between Group A and Group B together, and Envy do not want to be one of the teams on the chopping block.
Envy do have the Wombo combo though. Window gets the Groot for the Strangling Prison to lead into the Kraken Impact follow through, and they got Magneto for Kalush as well, so he can give the Bulwark over to either the Winter Soldier or the Jeff when they're inside their ultimates. ChopperMag, it looks like they're going to be going for a triple strategist defensive hold right now with no duelist, relying on just stabilizing and sustaining against all of the burst damage that Envy can bring to the table.
All right, what month is it here? Getting a little bit of deja vu as ChopperMag, the good Zendari's positioning on that Captain America up on the high ground before finding an opportunity to get the follow-up. And you mentioned about the team up together with the Emma Frost. Well, you get it with that Magneto too. That's why I highlighted that of Envy that Kalush cannot rely on since they don't have access to that. But talk about that damage output, Cal forcing ChopperMag inside that side building, and together with Window, the fact that they have the Groot is so strong on this map, and they've isolated the Captain America.
It's not so much a force as much as a kite coming on through from ChopperMag, though. By taking cover inside that building, they allow both the Loki and the Invis and the Jeff to start pushing the ultimate charges so much faster to keep pace with all of the damage that Envy is outputting. So they will have strategist ultimates when the Wombo combo conditions come on through from Envy's end. Jeff Nado is something that ChopperMag do have to worry about, though, because whether or not Skittles goes for a copy on the Invis or the Invis of his own team, Jeff Nado takes everybody else out of the cycle.
I heard it in the distance here as the Omega Hurricane comes out right on time while Pethic goes up to the sky with a Meteor M, sees the Sharknado, but that dance around at the invisible boundary forced out instead, as Fidel is going to be able to save him for now, as how Skittles was waiting at the very end to have his own invisible boundary. He gets booted out here. It's a Meteor M. Bobo with the It's Jeff, Speedery able to find Pethic in the process, and Window goes out because of Bobo's It's Jeff without being able to have that Groot hug.
I mean, Bobo Bobo had the iframe still. If you didn't know, each Jeff has invuln frames attached to it. If the Jeff is currently in the eat animation where he's cycling around the players, he is entirely undamageable. So the meteor and connection was just a little bit too early, and that means that Fidel was also able to come through with the Guardian Shield to block it as a, that's not an early, that's an absolutely on-time attack coming on through from Cal, and Envy are going to want to push them forward. They've got the Strangling Prison, they've got the Kraken Impact, and ChopperMag don't have an answer outside of a regeneration domain.
Put that shark on display on Ebony Island here as Cal looking to dive down here, looking to get these resets. Seeing right ahead of you, when you have a Loki, you have the opportunity with those clones. He finds Skittles, he tries to run away. He gets saved, and even right behind these group walls, as Window tries to harass him, they keep trying to kite away, as we saw before, Mox. And Nero does have that It's Jeff, but I like the repositioning as Cal is getting enabled, followed up by Kalush to find these bigs.
Skittles denies the echo chamber of the again with the displacements of the doppelgangers, and Bobo gets another eat. Can they find the eat into eat though from Nero? No, he's not in time, and instead he has to settle for second best prize, throwing Perfect off of the map, but ChopperMag continue having the numbers advantage and continue holding Envy as we go down to under a minute, and Envy are in full panic mode. Speedily's over towards the Phoenix just to try and find some of the stun damages onto ChopperMag's players pushing too far up.
What is this Jeff on Jeff violence? You know, it would have been so big brain if Nero had timed that It's Jeff to save his teammates.
That I think was what he was looking for, but he just didn't get the opportunity.
That angle down here from Bobo helped them out when Envy has only gotten that first checkpoint right there to try to get progress on getting this payload moving. Pethic, Eye of Agamotto, it's only found months, but it at least forces out the invisible boundary as Speedery with some follow potential. That's a big first pick, considering Skittles will not have that God of Mischief. Backing away after not being able to see what's happening from inside that invisible boundary, Window keeps trying to wall them inside that room. Cal isolates Pethic, and this is the number advantage that Envy needed to get progress with the payload.
Do ChopperMag give this, or do they try and put another one of their players onto the objective and stall long enough for Skittles? No, they tried, but it wasn't in time. Fidel gets taken down by Speedily, and ChopperMag will not be able to have the Loki come on through with the cast. Perfect now is going to swap. He was looking for the Daredevil because of how fast he moves. Goes over towards the Winter Soldier instead, as we actually get to see that Envy, there's a reason they took us to Central Park. It's one of the better maps for Flyers, which means that Speedily is going to get to go over towards the Ultron.
Get a lot more of those rooftops, get out of the line of sight. As you see right now, Heaven's Retribution trying to get the follow before Zach is looking back away the Sun of Seduction.
They can't hold that position though because Nero casts its jab, so if ChopperMag's players had actually stacked on top of the Heaven's Retribution, they would have gone into the eat, and they go into the eat regardless. Unfortunately, however, Nero doesn't find the target land onto the spawn doors, and ChopperMag's players will be able to survive.
I'll bunk them on the rooftop of that. Instead, you see just the kidnap from Bobo. Instead, it's the It's Jeff getting way more done for ChopperMag at the hands of Bobo, and now they have to wait for Window if you are Envy, because Window, even though he's been getting picked off a lot by these Jeffs, it's just so impactful to see these walls, but now they're stuck by the spawn room gates and an eternal bond from Skittles.
Oh my goodness, Skittles gets the Terror Cave, then gets the Duck Teleportation to avoid any follow-up comeuppance of being that close to Envy's spawn room. And they're just, again, stopping Envy from making these attacks forward. Envy have the Kraken Impact, but they didn't have any space to be able to use it. ChopperMag have been able to drain time off of the bank. They've been able to disengage so that the Kraken Impact, if it comes on through, isn't going to be able to catch multiple players, and it's up to a Rage of Ultron to open up the space instead. But ChopperMag are just going to disengage with the cover of the regen domain. That, though, is a huge force. Invis Boundary comes out early against Envy's absolute ultimate attrition warfare, and ChopperMag are losing players without a strategist ultimate to fend off Cal's resets.
Cal got a reset off of Fidel at the very end too. Once that invisible boundary had gone down, Fidel was right out of it so that way he wouldn't get called out, and that is what Envy needed. And now this is Cal gonna be able to have another reset, but at least try to go back, or at least try to harass them by the gates. You see Duop saying, all right, I can't do this, but they still have to recontest. Lack of timing here in favor for Envy, less than 15 seconds on the clock, and ChopperMag, they have the Sound of Seduction, and they can boost that into a huge stun though to find Bobo, to find Zenz, and even with Heaven's Retribution right around the corner, the Meteor M, and Nero need to get these plays as Kaluj gets that dunk with the Meteor.
Mumph had a huge blind as well, entirely stopped ChopperMag from having the line of sight on the players of Envy's position. As we can see, Nero just holding Skittles as long as possible to deny any form of contest coming on through from that Loki. ChopperMag, they'd swap Bobo over to the Psylocke. They've seen that speedily with that Ultron is making impact, and they want the duelist to be able to keep on top of the Flyer, but Envy are already so far up into the part of third that they should be able to get all of this free objective control without ChopperMag getting past them once.
Looking at that swap that we had a lot earlier when Envy was getting pushed into the spawn room gates with Speedery going over onto that Ultron, you have a lot more room to work with those rooftops too, of course. Works into what they want to feel more comfortable on, but I like this rotation from ChopperMag. They're taking an overhead positioning to make sure Envy, although they have been able to make this progress right below the stairs, Zen's isolated before dropping down, forced to pop that Magneto bubble onto himself, but look at what Envy have in store for them. They're about to have the Eternal Bond, and they have the Extermination to start things off as Bobo, the Dance of the Butterfly, not going to find the impact. Beautiful shields, beautiful cutting away from Envy to not burn up any of those survivability ultimates.
Yeah, they're stack, and they've still got both the Rage of Ultron and the Eternal Bond to be able to invade into the space of this invisible boundary, but no, they actually decide to just hold off onto it. 20 seconds left, they're going to go for a full reset. ChopperMag can punish this though. If they want to try and push forward and prevent Envy from getting a regroup, and that's exactly what they're currently doing. They were checking to see whether or not they could find any preventative measures on the Strange portal, because Envy have put window on the Strange, and I think they're going to try, just as we saw in Midtown, to flip the map position and go to objective instead. Pepper with the Galactic Legend cuts them off in the pool, and Centauri is ready on the other side of the portal with Meteor M to catch them as they fall.
Nowhere, 2K, can we see a 3K out here through the side of seduction, through the It Chef? Sorry, Nero. You won't be able to find the impact that you were looking for, backing away, but with overtime ticking away, you have to stay on that point. Oh no, a Jeff goes out, but even better is ChopperMag holding back Envy and dwindling away their time bank.
I mean, Envy did get far though. When you weigh up how difficult it was for them to be able to break through first, as long as it took them, the fact that they were able to get as far through as they did on third is a massive boon for this team, because now they're in the defensive position. They've got the Adam, they've got the stall, they've got flyers if they want it. ChopperMag are going to have to put every single fight perfectly if they want to have the time bank to actually get through the map where it matters.
And that's what scares me too, because it's very difficult to try to get that point unlocked unless we see an insane dominating push and separating that back line and the front line that we've seen sometimes when it comes to these teams that do take over that payload rather quickly on this map. But then you have to consider the bans, right?
Yeah.
They don't have Groot. They don't have Adam Warlock, and they do not have that Venom or that Mantis. So now that they're the ones on the attack, sure, we could see how they were able to be pretty strong in defense. The way that they were able to back away was fantastic to avoid Windows walls. But that's not going to be the case this time around when they're the ones on the attack.
Yeah, and I mean, Bobo on the Psylocke as well. Psylocke is really, really good, but where she struggles is the sustainability compositions of things like the Adam, the Invis, and the Jeff, because she just doesn't have the damage. Like, what you have to essentially do in these kinds of compositions is shoot the Vanguards, farm up your ultimate as many times as you possibly can, and then come through with the hit on the backline, as Cal is using the third-person POV to read ChopperMag's composition and also make sure that no one from the attack flanks around the back of the point to prevent a different off-angle fight from going down when Envy's heads are turned in main.
Technically speaking, Bobo could get a little cheeky with it, right? But wants to play it safe here. Up with the rest of his team, gets up on that high ground while Zenz takes a roundabout position together with Pethic, who's on that Wolverine.
Because of the Groot.
Yep, 99 wood cutting. He is here to slay, but nice pushback to help out Window. But you can only get it so many times before it's on cooldown as he tries to slice before backing away. Beautiful survivability at the hands of Month, Nero, and Cal to keep Envy in the driver's seat, forcing ChopperMag to back away.
Bobo's already 73% to the ultimate though. He's literally just been farming these Vanguards. Did get taken down earlier because of the good force basics coming on through from Month. And Envy are starting to actually get the heals necessary to build up Invis boundary to match the Psylocke's ultimate. However, Skittles could be the breaking point with the Cosmic Ion Amplifier, pushing the damages up past the Invis woman's parameters.
Pethic on the hunt. on the Wolverine now before jumping in to try to get the kidnap as he gets it successfully, but it is the push in from Month, who was ready. A lot of pressure on this player, and he has been ready every single time to protect Window. Invisible Boundary, though, called in a little early to try to protect him here as the group hug comes out next, and Bobo getting blocked out without getting impact on that dance of Butterfly, but with the It's Jeff here, you have Nero being able to find that Wolverine as it's hasta la vista for Pethic, but two members are finding Envy.
They didn't get the It's Jeff onto Cal on the Adam though, which means that he's still got the self-res, and there comes the team res. Karmic Revival cast, Envy's players entirely refreshed. This time though, ChopperMag don't have the ultimates to be able to take them down. The Eye of Agamotto above the doorframe managed to catch both the Groot and the Bucky, and ChopperMag are starting to walk away with the fight. Zensari invades into the back corridor to make sure that the strategists don't get to regroup, and that's going to be ChopperMag picking up first with 2 minutes almost to spare.
You have to imagine, from Kalush's point of view, after activating that Meteor and looking up by the stairwell over to his right side, the rest of his team, separated by his own Groot wall, were getting Eye of Agamotto'd by Zenz and couldn't really help them out because he was still in the animation of the Meteor as a recontest portal comes out from Kalush.
Envy want to take this fight inside Castle. Window is going to be there on the thing, but the Cosmic Yawn Amplify from ChopperMag, the last stand coming on through from Pethic. Envy tried to come on through with the Invis boundary, but that just means that the Invis woman's ultimate isn't going to be up when they need it for Dance of the Butterflies.
Bobo's harassing this backline now, and now ChopperMag have so many ultimates, Moxie, and the most important thing, the space around this corner, the space that I personally have mentioned so many times with you too, how difficult it is to hold if you, the defensive side, could hold a much more forward position.
That's why Cal's going over to the Hela, because this linear line of sight is going to be able to punish ChopperMag if they do decide to play aggressively around that corner, but you don't have targeting if you're a Psylocke in your Dance of the Butterflies, so they've been able to pass the spy check and pressure that the Hela would provide, and ChopperMag continue the momentum push forward.
Continue forcing Envy back into the side room here inside the castle, and although they have 2 ultimates online, Window was one of the first to go alongside Nero because of that Dance of Butterfly, noting that they didn't have the survivability of the strategist ultimates to survive through that too, not expecting it as Window. He comes in, Eye of Agamotto though, the interruption before clobbering them, stopping Zenz and helping them out. Nero with the It's Jeff finds 2, but he needs some protection himself as he gets healed up to take away ChopperMag's 2 members over to this left side.
Speedily reveals himself the Dance of the Butterflies, but the trades are coming on through in the favor of ChopperMag. Envy spawns are going to be closer. However, and with the Goddess of Death holding court above the objective, that's going to stall out this fight. Kalush might be able to finish it. Rock, paper, scissors, Rock beats everything in that matchup, apparently, according to Kalush. And Meteoram finally buys Envy the stall that they needed. The action fades to a lull, and the Hela can now set up to pressure ChopperMag, but look at what ChopperMag are doing. Just like with Envy, Zensari goes for the Strange, not for a portal, but for the shield to cover the Hela's angle.
Good haul out here as Window, also on that Captain America to help out the stall. Kalush had made that so just earlier when we saw him on the Magneto. As now you see the Eye of Agamotto, they try to push him back. As they stop him, they interrupt him a second time around. But Pethic, he's got the reset, he's got the ultimate, as again and again, as I hear in my nightmares, he's found 2. The follow-up, although Kalush finds Fidel, he's left all alone on this point to try to defend it in ChopperMag. They get the next checkpoint.
We go into third, and Envy's tournament lives, well, they hang in the balance. They need to find the win here against ChopperMag, and they're going to have 2 minutes 45 seconds to be able to do it. Cal's going to stay with the Hela. The magic pick potential is there. She at least beats the ultimate economy off of the pick potential in the neutral, but ChopperMag are feeling so good about this push right now. Psionic Seduction to be able to open up the space. Fidel so close to the invisible boundary as well. If Envy decide to overextend, the punishment is immediate. It all comes down to Cal hitting these connections, but he just doesn't have the line of sight because ChopperMag already understands.
Bobo's Psylocke is insane to match that against Speedery to shut him down another time, and even with the Freedom Charge to build the space that Envy needs to breathe, Bobo has not been stopped because now he's following the strategist. It's forced out now. Fidel looking on the inside to at least have the invisible boundary, but no pressure from the front line because he says he gets the eye of Akamoto. He finds Month and Speedery. Even with Nero though, he's got the internal bond to at least keep this going, Moxie.
The Cosmic Ion Amplifier is going to finish. The Goddess of Death still has an angle, but it means that Cal doesn't have the health reset, but it's done enough. Dance off the bullet but so too has Bobo. Una reverse got Cass, and Envy cast out of the tournament. ChopperMag takes Central Park.
I'm listening to the players behind us. I'm letting it soak in, Moxie. I can't believe this. ChopperMag, a team that had to make the adjustments that they needed when Sal was unable to attend. One of their strategists, Fidel, from former Shroud X, now Intergalactic, is slotted in with the rest of this team. And look at this stat line. Duep going crazy with 18 final hits. Look at the survivability. Even on the other side, Envy, they tried so hard, Moxie, but I'm going to be real right now. I don't say it very often when I talk about another Psylocke from Bobo's hand.
Yep.
Always marking Speedery.
Bobo was just insane. I mean, everyone from ChopperMag, the adaptations that they had were so good. Like the Eye of Agamotto's, because Envy, they kept mixing things up. This was the Envy that we expected to see coming into this tournament. They were innovating. They were showing new compositions. They were adapting, hero swapping, giving all of these separate win conditions that we hadn't seen from them before, trying to just push ChopperMag into losing the evolution race. And ChopperMag kept up every single step of the way, then surpassed them. The Strange being able to come on through, putting pressure onto Envy with the Hella so that the line of sight from Cal was just not enough. We saw on the walk-up